Well, good evening. Today, traffic backed up. You can see a line of cars at a standstill along the Parks Highway here, and the Division of Forestry says the state remains at what's known as a preparedness level 5. That is the highest in the state's wildland fire preparedness plan and the highest now in the country, with more than 1,800 personnel supporting 20 staffed fires across Alaska. And if you're unsure whether you should evacuate, check right now. There is a large area of evacuations along the Parks Highway. The Fairbanks North Star Borough expanded the Go Now evacuation area to now also include milepost 3 to milepost 338. And this is a level 3, meaning go. Leave right now if you haven't already, as danger is current or imminent. Shelters are being set up, including at Hutchinson High School. There's also a clean air room open at the Noel Ween Library. And if you need information on sheltering, you can call 907-459-1308. And if you're in an area but you're unsure about whether or not you're being asked to evacuate, you can check that right now. And there's a very good resource. This is the Fairbanks North Star Borough's Evacuation Monitor Map. Red means get out now, do not delay. Some of the fires in go status include Goldstream Creek, Bonanza Creek, Aggie Creek, O'Brien, Himalaya Road, 98, St. George Creek, also Bear Creek. And that brings us to Chief Meteorologist Melissa Fry. Melissa, some rain brought a little relief, right, to parts of the region, but doesn't sound like it's going to be enough to put away any fires.
Yeah, John, unfortunately, not even with that record rainfall yesterday, we are seeing any real relief from these fires. We still have hundreds of active fires in the state as we approach 675,000 acres burned so far in Alaska this year. I spoke today with the Anchorage Fire Department's Wildland Division Chief, who says more crews from Anchorage have actually been asked to head to the interior to help. They're on their way. They're happy to do so. And we are not seeing much relief when it comes to help from Mother Nature. Temperatures still close to 70 degrees in Fairbanks and Delta Junction today. 71 in Tok, 72. This is right now in Eagle. Little cooler as you head out to Tanana and south toward Denali, but we are going to see warming conditions in this area as we head into Friday and your weekend. Sunny and calm to the north and to the west. In south central, cloudy and cool. 58 degrees right now in Anchorage. Even cooler in Juneau at 52, where rain is falling. The storm that brought the cloud cover, the cooler temperatures and some showers to south central is now all headed into southeast. That is where we'll see the heavy rain over the next 2 days. Clearing conditions as we head into tomorrow. Just have to get through a few showers lingering, mainly for the coastal areas in south central tonight. A chance for a quick light shower in Palmer and Wasilla this evening. Anchorage may see a few more raindrops as well. Temperatures right now in the upper 50s. Tomorrow we're headed back to the upper 60s. We'll see more of that sunshine in the afternoon in Anchorage. Mostly sunny in Fairbanks with high temperatures in the mid 70s. Be prepared for that heavy rain tomorrow in Juneau with highs in the upper 50s. And Bethel, just a little cloud cover, but should be a nice afternoon with high temperatures for you back close to 70 degrees. And I'll have a closer look at that more detailed, extended forecast coming up here in a few minutes.
All right, looking forward to that. Thank you, Melissa. To another developing story right now, this building fire in Anchorage shutting down a major throughway for rush hour traffic. The building fire right at the intersection of 6th and Ingra sent flames and plumes of black smoke into the air, also causing traffic trouble for people trying to head north out of the city right now. As of last check, vehicles were able to pass through the intersection, but authorities were asking people to avoid the area if possible. A former APD police officer convicted of wire fraud and money laundering seeking a new trial after the fallout of misconduct allegations from a U.S. district judge and federal prosecutor. Our investigative team's Johnson Kuhn joins us now with some details. Johnson.
That's right, John. 45-year-old Nathan Michael Keys was convicted of 24 counts after conspiring with a friend to defraud ConocoPhillips out of over $3 million. But in a motion filed in June, Keys says he deserves a new trial after the judge overseeing his case, former Alaska U.S. District Judge Joshua Kindred, resigned amid an investigation that revealed he engaged in inappropriate conduct with attorneys who appeared before him. Kindred resigned in July 2024 after the Judicial Council confirmed the allegations were true, roughly 5 months after Keys' conviction. In Keys' motion, he argues that a new trial is warranted based on the fact that Kindred took a day off while overseeing Keys' case to testify in his own case regarding the sexual misconduct findings. Keys' motion also argues that Assistant U.S. Attorney Karen Vandergaard, who was later found to have been sending Kindred explicit photos of herself, also played a role in Keys' prosecution. Now, the U.S. Attorney's Office has responded to Keyes' motion by saying that no evidence has been produced to justify a new trial in this case. A spokesperson for the U.S. Attorney's Office declined to comment beyond the public court filings. The federal public defender representing Keyes said the deadline for the defense to reply is Monday. John?
Johnson Kuhn reporting for us. Thank you, Johnson. Well, family members have identified the Bethel woman police say was murdered on Sunday as 20-year-old Ariel Nanang. Nanang's family told us that she spent most of her time taking calls at the hospital. And when she was not at work, she could be found spending time with family and friends. Police have arrested 24-year-old Edward Acharian in connection with Nanang's death. Charging documents identify Acharian as Nanang's boyfriend. Bethel police are asking anyone with any information, please contact them at that number on your screen, 907-543-3781. An SD card labeled homicide at Midtown Marriott was the start of a case that forever changed Anchorage history. 20 minutes of video, 46 pictures, showing Kathleen Jo Henry slowly, deliberately, cruelly tortured before she was strangled to death. Well, it's been 1 year now since her killer, Brian Smith, was also sentenced for killing Veronica Abowchuk. Our investigative team's Rebecca Palsha took the question, who else to Smith? Who else? And joins us with a preview of her exclusive documentary.
Well, tonight, an Alaska's News Source exclusive asking convicted killer Brian Smith from jail if he killed anyone else 1 year after he was sentenced for killing 2 Alaska Native women. Their names are forever with us, Kathleen Jo and Veronica. Now, since Alaska's News Source first reported on this investigation, including their killer Brian Smith's arrest and conviction, new evidence was uncovered suggesting there could be additional victims.
There's this term called NHI, no human involved.
We want answers!
I'm almost certain there's more victims.
We want answers!
Now, to this day, missing and murdered Indigenous people advocates continue to search for more victims, asking a simple question: who else did Brian Smith kill? It's a question Alaska's News Source took directly to Smith during a more than 3-hour interview.
How many people did you tell Alicia you had killed in South Africa?
Okay, well, it started off one person.
Veronica Abowchuk is my mother. I'm her oldest daughter. As an adult, I just really felt for her. I remember thinking, wow, they found her. You know, maybe she's somewhere. And storylining that last night, I just am in awe that I believed that, you know.
1 year after Smith's sentencing, for the first time, the documentary will reveal some of that new evidence, including recordings with Smith's girlfriend. Our months-long search for answers debuts this weekend. I hope you'll join us for Kathleen Jo and Veronica. Who else? The search for Brian Smith's unwritten victims at 8:30 Saturday night on KTUU Channel 2. Plus, tomorrow at 12:30, we are live on the digital desk to talk about this case. Rebecca Palsha, Alaska's News Source.
The Department of Corrections is denying claims a group of ICE detainees from Tacoma, temporarily held at the Anchorage Correctional Complex, were exposed to tuberculosis after one of the detainees' attorneys says that he could not reach his client for 1 week after he was transferred back to Tacoma's ICE facility.
At that point, I was able to speak with him for the first time since his transfer back from Alaska, and unfortunately confirmed that he did contract tuberculosis. So he had been rushed to the ER on the 7th, Monday, from Northwest ICE Processing Center to the hospital, and had been there for 2.5 days at the point in which I spoke with him.
Now, this all started in early June when 41 Tacoma ICE detainees were sent to be temporarily held at the Anchorage jail. A Correction Department spokesperson tells Alaska's News Source all detainees were screened when they arrived and they tested negative for active tuberculosis, and say that one detainee's follow-up testing due to potential symptoms came back negative for active tuberculosis. Now, the DOC's statement says in part, quote, "These detainees were housed in a clean, unoccupied unit and kept separate from the general population throughout their short stay, only 23 days in total." The ACLU of Alaska claims ICE told 35 of the 41 detainees they'd been exposed to tuberculosis in Alaska, going on to say that 2 tested positive for latent tuberculosis. Alaska's news sources reached out to the state health department for further clarification about tuberculosis concerns at ACC. Well, cheaper Alaska car rental taxes, that's the reality after a new law went into effect this morning, including apps like Turo. The law's main sponsor, Big Lake Republican Kevin McCabe, told us rental car apps have not historically paid the state enough taxes. He says that's meant an estimated 1,500 people who let app users rent their cars have ended up, well, with debts. Listen to this, up to $600,000. The representative says that the law now means those debts have been erased.
This will be paid essentially by the tourists that are renting a Turo car, and it'll just be a seamless deal. There will be a block on the Turo receipt that they get, I'm sure, that says State of Alaska 7% tax on excise tax.
Now, the law also reduces tax rates. It used to be 10% across the board. Now they're 9% for traditional rental companies. And for app users like Turo, the tax rate drops to 7%. The law goes into effect without the governor's signature. The spokesperson had no comment. Our website, mobile app, you could read why Turo says that the law change is a good thing. All right, we're back in just a minute with a new weekly series, a kickoff to an annual event in Fairbanks you can still get in on, and a South Central fundraiser that's changing lives. We the People is our campaign to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the founding of the United States. And part of that is looking back on notable events in Alaska's history as well. Tracy Sinclair launched This Week in Alaska History today and is at the digital desk. Tell us all about it, Tracy.
Yes, today, Director of Photography Eric Soul and I, we looked at this week in history from July 7th through July 13th. And I have to say, it was kind of a crazy busy week here in Alaska. One prominent day this week was yesterday, Alaska Flag Day, the first time that the Alaska flag was flown in 1927. And even though Alaska is such a big place, it really is quite small. Eric had an interesting personal story about the drawing Benny Benson originally made for the Alaska flag.
And so they opened this drawer, and I don't know where it lives permanently, but it was sitting in a drawer next to a moon rock. And I thought, oh my gosh, I wonder if Benny ever envisioned that something he drew on a piece of paper would be stored next to a rock from the moon.
So history is so close in Alaska that you can touch it. We had a really good discussion, played a lot of different videos, and you can find this full clip by clicking on We the People on our free streaming platforms and our website.
Looking forward to that series over the next year. Now, coming up after the break, we're going to look ahead to Friday and the weekend, how much more rain you can expect and how much heat you can expect to come in. But first, take a look at those daylight hours. Still holding on to that late sunset, 11:26 in Anchorage, 12:15 in Fairbanks, just before 10 in Juneau, and just after midnight in Bethel.